G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. I've decided to change my Tinder bio because of my unconventional living situation. The problem was that I was meeting up with these wonderful people in most of the countries I went to. I was using Tinder to meet people. It's a wonderful tool to meet new people, especially when you're moving around as much as what I do. So my Tinder bio said something along the lines of, I'm a terrible dancer. I can't sing to save myself. I'm not very funny. But after happy hour, I'll have a crack at everything. So I'll dance during happy hour, I'll sing, and I become a lot more funny. So I'm obviously not a funny person. You can tell that right now. You're probably not laughing at my joke. But my Tinder bio then also goes on to say that I really value personal growth and I want to meet someone who values the same thing. So I'm also resourceful and run a business. So it was doing a really good job of helping me meet wonderful people in these countries I was going to. But ultimately there was always a bit of a letdown, and the letdown either occurred on the first date when you first meet with someone, or I was lucky enough to meet up with someone a few times and we actually build something, but then I was leaving the country and there was always some sort of sadness involved. The problem, I think, is that when we go on Tinder dates, I know in my own case, I'm looking for two really key things. One is spontaneity. I want to feel like anything's possible. We can be open-minded. We can just treat this for whatever it's meant to be. But the other thing I think that I'm looking for, and I think many people are looking for, is the opportunity to grow and evolve with the person that you're meeting. So there's a context to a Tinder date. We want to know that something can happen in the future. And it doesn't need to mean that it's going to turn into a relationship or eventually marriage. I think that many of us are rethinking these societal norms. I know I certainly am, and you can learn about that in some of my other videos from the channel about being 40 and single and some of the others. So it's all about questioning the societal constructs of marriage, relationship and things like that. But ultimately, I still want to meet someone where we can grow and evolve together. So my two really important things are spontaneity and growth. And not living in the country that I was traveling through meant that the idea of growth was really difficult. So I was constantly coming up against this wall, and it would either result in sadness or a feeling of being let down. So I was in all these different countries, and then I started to question myself a bit. And I thought to myself, well, maybe the problem is me. Maybe the problem is me and my unconventional living situation of traveling so much. So I'm going to Brazil normally once a year to visit Huda Iande, the shaman there, who's my business partner now, a very good friend, and we've got some joint projects going on in Brazil. I love going to Vietnam regularly. My brother lives there. I live in Thailand, but I don't like Thailand being the one location just to be. Spending more time in Eastern Europe lately and trying to build a few things there. And I went to London to check whether I'd want to go and live there again. I used to live in London, and I concluded while I was there I didn't want to do that. But I started to question this and think, well, what am I doing with my life? Like, maybe the reason I'm 40 and single is because I'm moving around so much. I'm going to all these places, meeting wonderful people, but it's just not working out. So I realized that there's a bit of a problem there. And I started to get pretty down on myself. And then I started to try to think, well, let's choose a country. Let's choose one of these countries to spend time. And I thought I'd spend more time in Australia pre-COVID, but then everything sort of changed with COVID and everything going on. So I've ruled out Australia, but I thought about these other countries and thought, well, where can I actually live? And then I realized what I was doing wrong. And I realized this thanks to the out-of-the-box online workshop by the shaman Huda Iande. He is a very good friend of mine, but this is easily the best quality life transformation workshop out there. And then I realized that I was making a mistake that I'd learnt to avoid in the past from the out-of-the-box materials. And that's that I was avoiding committing to the life I was already living. I was getting sucked into the dreams that other people have. So I think in society, we've got these collective dreams that get imprinted on us by kind of the mainstream media, Hollywood movies, culture, parental programming. A whole range of different programming occurs. And I was starting to get wrapped up in it by thinking about living in the one location, because I was thinking about I need to have the perfect family one day, the perfect house, live in the perfect place, get friends in the one place, like build an environment in that way, live the conventional life. And I thought that my nomadic ways of traveling the world was something wrong, and that's why I wasn't able to meet the right people. So thanks to Out of the Box, I woke up to what was going on there, and I managed to see it for what it was. I could see that actually the life that I'm already living is exactly the life that I want. I don't want to settle down in just the one country. If anything, I want to commit even more to the nomadic life. I think I want to have more of a presence on the ground in Thailand, so a bit more structure here. I want to have a bit more structure in Vietnam, because I'm always going to keep going back to Vietnam, particularly because my brother's married now, and that's pretty exciting. So I know that there's going to be a lot going on in the future in Vietnam. Really excited about Brazil, and particularly some land projects that I'm working on with Huda. So you'll hear more about that pretty soon through the channel. And Eastern Europe, I just love my time spent there, and I'm looking at Serbia and Georgia and maybe some other places and building a few things there. I realize that that's actually pretty awesome. Like, this is an awesome way to live life, and there's nothing wrong with having homes in multiple places. I don't want to give you the impression that I'm some high flyer that's, able to just afford everything that I want. Like, I think it's possible for us all to achieve what we're looking for, initially in more limited ways, and we can slowly grow from there. So that's the way I'm thinking about this, of starting small and just committing to this nomadic life. So then I realized that through committing to myself and what was really going on, and it was thanks to the out-of-the-box materials that I could just wake up to what was happening, I suddenly felt a lot more empowered, so I could really commit to what was going on deep inside. So that leads me to the Tinder bio. Realised that my Tinder bio was all wrong. I was meeting up with people based on a context that wasn't quite real, because I think there's a subtext to our dates. There's always this idea that we're going to meet someone by living the conventional life, living in the one place, and it's a totally normal expectation. So what I needed to do was to get rid of those expectations from the outset. So I've rewritten my Tinder bio to explicitly say that I'm living a nomadic life and I'm looking for someone who's inspired by living in the same way. Now, it doesn't need to be that the person I meet is already a nomad or already living in these exact countries that I'm in. For me, it's enough that this exists at the level of values, that this is the desire to commit to a certain way of living life. So by being upfront about that from the outset, I've just sort of cleared up the confusion. People know who they're meeting up with when they come and meet up with me. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot less matches, but that's okay. It's totally fine for me. I'm not too fussed about it. I just want to make sure that when I meet with someone, we're meeting in a really honest way, not with false expectations, where we can just be clear so that spontaneity and growth is more able to occur. So now I'd love to get your help in the comments below, and that's with my actual Tinder bio. So I'm not much of a wordsmith, I'm not very funny. I got some help from a friend recently, and it was something along the lines of not looking for anything serious, just a sex goddess who's also a nomad. And maybe that's not quite right, but can you give me some sort of version of that in the comments below? The one with the most likes is the one that I'm going to use on my Tinder bio, and then I'm going to do a video later on via this channel to share my experiences with the Tinder bio that you all helped me choose. So thanks so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see the next videos sharing what happens here. There's also a link in the description below to one of Huda Iyande's free masterclasses on personal power. Highly recommended. It's absolutely amazing, and the best way to get introduced to his life-changing work. Hit the like button. Do everything that you normally do to support the channel. It actually does help a lot. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here, and see you next time.